Some people call me a bad apple. Yeah, I may be bruised, but I still taste sweet. Some people call me a bad apple, but I may be the sweetest apple on the tree.
Welcome to the Playing Your Fools podcast. I am your host, Adam Harvin. Today's guest is Ryan Thomas.
What's up?
All right, and today we're going to talk about kind of a sensitive subject here, but about policing and specifically the future of policing. Before we get started a little bit, the idea of Playing Your Fools podcast is kind of, the more you know about things, the more you realize you don't know what you're talking about. So, and then sometimes asking stupid questions actually leads somebody to the conclusion better than trying to educate them on the subject. So that's kind of the whole premise of the Playing Your Fools podcast. We don't know what we're talking about, but maybe we'll make you think about some shit.
That, and when you come face to face with somebody, it's better than reading that shit on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
You don't understand the intent of somebody's words when you're reading it.
I've gotten into so many fights on Facebook and shit where it's like, dude, I think we're on the same side. You're just being a fucking douchebag.
You're a dick.
I'm like, and if you talk to me like that in person, I would strangle you to death.
Fuck you up.
But I do want to start by saying that this is not a personal attack on police officers or anything like that. As a person, this is about the job of policing. There's a lot of good police officers out there that do a great job. They're good people and everything. Yes. And this isn't about them. It's about the impossible job that they are set out to do, and what we ask way too much of them.
With bullshit pay.
Yeah. With the the pay is
ass pay.
Yeah, it's not great pay or anything, but I don't even think that's the point of it. It just kind of there's a lot of issues with policing, and the specific point of this podcast is, I think most of the policing that we have day to day with traffic stops, small thefts, all that stuff, that job is basically going to go away the better technology gets. We have the technology now that a lot of people don't know about. It's not legal to prosecute people with, and that is why we're not really using it. We're using it. Believe me, we're using all of it in Iraq, Afghanistan, and the CIA is absolutely using this stuff. And one thing, when COVID first came out, did you notice how fast that contract tracing app on cell phones came out?
Cops didn't give a fuck.
It's because it was already in use, and the CIA already had it in use. So they capture a guy, they get his cell phone, and they have a app for contact tracing with that cell phone, to where they go, oh, he's been talking to all these people have been talking to these people, and it pulls it up on an app, and it just and they can start eliminating people through that, and then finding where the terrorists are. So they were wanting to do that, use that same technology to, instead of going, this person's a terrorist, they go, this person got COVID, he's been in contact with this cell phone, and then this cell phone's been in contact with this cell phone.
That's crazy shit.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that we can do with that technology now. Another thing is...
Why can't they do that with AIDS?
Yeah, because they spread that on purpose. But yeah, so we have that contact tracing apps on the phones because of the technology that was developed by the CIA and everything in the Middle East. And there was other things like the UAE already has one thing that they came out during COVID is they have street cameras everywhere, and they don't really have police. They don't have, like, really doing traffic stops or anything like that, because there's cameras everywhere. You can't get away with anything. But their cameras have infrared features on them, so they can tell if you're walking around with a fever.
Fuck.
So if
I don't like that.
Yeah, so they can come round you up if they can look on the camera and get an alert if you have a fever.
What if you just got through working out?
And go lock you in your... Yeah. Well, yeah, you might want to cool off before you head out.
I'm saying, that's some shit right there.
It is hot as shit out there, too, so I don't...
That is bullshit.
But...
Don't like that.
Yeah, so, and that's over there, it's like that. The cameras take away the job of policing, and you would still have like basically like SWAT teams for somebody who does break the law to go get them. But as far as having cops as a deterrent on the street, the cameras are basically doing that job now.
So basically, like the cameras could just catch somebody speeding and then just send them a ticket, right? Instead of having them pull them over, take the unnecessary risk.
Right.
And
so this.
But what do you do about, like I say, there's no license plate, and say you don't catch them? Do you do facial recognition?
Okay. So here's the thing. That this can go multiple different ways, because now they go, what if we make the police jobs with all the writing and stuff like that, all the there's record numbers of cops quitting right now.
Yep.
And retiring, quitting, it's completely unsafe for them and everything. So and then there's probably not going to be a lot of people signing up for the job now.
Nope.
So one thing.
And what's going to happen with that? You're going to get some pissed off individuals joining the force.
Well, but here's what's going to happen. Eventually, the laws aren't there, but once it gets bad enough and people will accept this, they'll go, you know what? Google's going to go, you know what? We can handle speeding tickets because Google knows how fast you're going on your phone right now. If you pull up your Maps app on Google, it turns red when you're speeding. It shows the speed limit of the road, and it turns red when you're speeding. So they could absolutely just freaking text you a damn ticket. You know, Google has the ability to know when you're speeding or not.
That I don't like.
They have your fingerprint or your facial recognition or whatever, so they know it's you. So it's the technology is there to do this. But here's another thing: we're getting driverless cars. Or, self-driving cars, speeding's not going to be an issue anymore.
I don't like those either.
Those cars aren't going to be able to speed, and you're not really going to be driving by yourself.
So basically losing a lot of freedoms.
Yeah, the cities are losing a lot of revenue, and the police departments are losing a lot of revenue they're, California, this is how bass-ackwards fucking California is.
I want to talk about California.
So they've had issues, so since Uber's out, their DWI numbers are down drastically, and they're not getting the freaking tax revenue from all the fines that are associated with DWIs. And so Uber has hurt the city.
So they kicked them out.
Yeah, I mean that.
They kicked them out.
Yeah, that and then they use the excuse of them being contract labor to
which
kick
is bullshit.
them out. Yeah, but I think they, even though they did that, I think they stuck around. I think they're still there. I think it only lasted like a day or two.
Yeah, because I think they protested about it or something. Or
yeah, just freaking massive unemployment to a bunch of contract labor people.
Well, California's fucked up anyways. Same way with New York.
Oh yeah, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see this technology replacing police officers in those cities, in large cities first.
Mm-hmm.
And
that'll be the test run.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to be all over the place on this podcast.
That's cool. That's fine. I like it.
Baltimore, Philadelphia, L.A., they did this test program like 7 years ago. A private company, I think they're out of Ohio, they came in and they used technology that they've been using in the Middle East on the city. And as a test run, it was completely legal. I don't think it's illegal, but you can't use it for prosecution. So I don't know how they.
It's one of those legal, but not really.
Yeah, it's in a gray area. So what they were doing was they have a crazy grid of cameras, and they put them on an airplane and they fly over the city, and it flies for like 6 hours at a time, and it does a 25 by 25 grid of the city. And so if they get a 911 call, they can zoom in where that 911 call came from, rewind the video, and watch it happen. So like say they get a call, there's somebody's been shot at this house. They zoom in on that house, press rewind, and then they watch somebody leave that house, see what car they get in, follow that car, and what house that car goes to. And then the cops just go knock on that door.
Wait, they have this right now?
Yeah, this was out 7 years ago. So the problem is you can't identify somebody. You're literally just watching a car drive, and there's no way to identify where that car is, but you know where they end up. So you go to that location, and you know somebody there, you know, did the crime.
Fired a gun, shot some. Yeah.
And there's also been I was watching this documentary about apparently Bourbon Street in Louisiana's got a pretty badass camera set up, like super, like their motion cameras.
Yeah, you can't take a
super zoom
fart.
But there was a guy that got shot there, and he was saying, yeah, the guy shot me and ran off, and then they rewinded the cameras, and the guy that got shot first at a dude, and the other guy just defended himself.
Yep.
And
fuck you, dude.
Yeah. And they were like, if we didn't have these cameras, I mean, that story sounds ridiculous. I mean, they would have just believed the guy that got shot.
Yep.
But now that they have it on camera, they know that the guy that ran off that they were looking for was just defending himself. So I mean, that story like completely flipped, but just because of the cameras. But yeah, so there's, I mean, and even like so in China, the social credit score is getting...
That's stupid.
So you're just turning everybody into snitches then.
Yep.
So, and then there's another thing is these... So I almost forgot about this. So in California, they shut down 14 Walgreens and CVS's because of mass theft. And you've seen those videos where like 30 people walk into the store, just grab everything and walk right back out.
Yeah, because it's $1,000 in California. It's $1,000. You can't get in trouble unless you steal.
Yeah, it's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor, and I think they have the no cash bail program that out there like they do in New York. So you don't have to pay cash to get bailed out. So they're basically out on the street in a day or two, anyways.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and so I mean that's why the homeless situation is so bad out there too. But so they closed Walgreens and CVS closed down 14 stores because of these thefts. And you're like, well, you're not allowed to have a store in your neighborhood anymore because of that crazy theft. And the cops can't do anything about it. There's, like 50 people go into one store and steal. Like, how 2 cops going to chase 50 people all of a sudden?
No, they're not. They're not going to do anything.
And that's where they can use, like they did on the Capitol riot or whatever, they can use facial recognition, start using cameras and tracking them down.
Oh, you mean with those fucking dummies?
Yeah, and they're, I mean, half of them, I mean, we have them on video because they're Facebook Live when they're doing it. But,
bunch of idiots.
But
watch me commit this crime.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thing. But the way, so China solved that problem already. So in China, they have these smart stores where before you walk into the store, before the electronic door opens, it scans your face. And you look up at a camera, it scans your face, and the door opens. You walk in the store, and every time you take something off the shelf, it knows that item. It pulls it off the shelf, charges it directly to your cell phone. So you just walk in, grab stuff off the shelf. It's getting charged to your cell phone as you walk around shopping, and then you scan your face to walk out.
So what?
So there's no
so
cashiers.
What if you just pick it up to look at it?
Well, if you put it back on the shelf, it
just comes back off.
Comes back, yeah. And I don't. You may have to set it on a scale or something, and I think they work a couple different ways. I've seen somewhere you pull it off the shelf, and the shelf's a smart shelf, and it charges it, or you have to go to a checkout stand and set it all there, and then it charges it to you. But either way, you're not going to have cashier. That store has no employees other than, I mean, maybe stocking. I haven't seen how they stock.
So no jobs.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really have to have a job for that. But that's the thing too, is like there'll be other jobs to do. I mean, it's going to get weird. I mean that is, but you don't have theft in that store. I mean, I mean, that's going to go. They know exactly who you are when you walk in and when you walk out, and what you walk in and walk out with.
I don't really like the social credit score thing, though. Because they take off points for talking shit.
Yeah.
It's like, what if it's a fucking joke?
Oh, yeah. There's no freedom of speech, but same thing here. If you say the wrong thing on Facebook. The other day, I shared an article, and it was not negative in any way. It was actually supporting what they were saying, and it hit it. I didn't even... So, like, when you went to that person's name, there was a note that said, your comment has been hidden.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck was that? And I sent them a message. I was like, hey, because I didn't know that you could do that. And they were like, oh, no, I didn't do that. That was Facebook. And I was like, oh, shit.
It was right when I went on vacation, right before the show. I got banned for 7 days. Remember I texted you? I was like, hey, will you share this shit? Because I'm banned. Well, some chick had told my girlfriend to kill herself.
Yeah.
So I called this chick a cunt. And I get banned for 7 days. She doesn't get banned at all.
They've been, so any type of name calling, I think.
I just turned the C into a K now.
Oh, well, I think some big libertarian dude just got banned for calling somebody a gimp or something like that. It's like anything fat shaming, anything like that can get you banned.
We're ran by a bunch of bitches.
Well, on that, on the Facebook and shit. But yeah, so the technology is doing some stuff. Like when we have driverless cars, speeding's not going to be an issue, and they don't want us to
go over the speed limit.
But they don't. It's going to get to a point. They don't want us to own cars anymore. It's going to be all ride-sharing apps.
Fuck that.
So like you won't actually have a car in your driveway anymore. You'll just call automated car will come pick you up and take you where you want to go.
Hope I'm dead by then.
It's going to happen pretty soon because Chevy, they closed a plant. I believe it was. I want to say it was in Detroit or Ohio or something like that, but they closed one plant and they shut down all their production except for they have a Chevy Cruze that is completely automated. So they know something, like we don't even have the laws for completely automated cars, but they're producing Chevy Cruzes that have a satellite on top and all this stuff, and they're driverless. They don't even have a steering wheel on them, I don't think. But so Chevy knows something that we don't, that they're like to put all their eggs in that basket.
Yeah, that's weird.
They might be selling them as like fleet vehicles or to another country or something. But for them to put that much money into driverless cars all of a sudden, and Ford and Chevy's both made pledges to not have combustion engines by 2030 or 2035. So, I mean, which...
I don't like it.
We don't have the infrastructure right now for electric vehicles. That's a lot. I mean, we don't have. We'll have to go to nuclear energy or something.
My problem with the electric vehicles and all that shit is, are they going to make having a gas powered vehicle illegal? I mean, because
you're probably going to pay higher taxes on it.
That's some bullshit.
So, but here's another thing is, so in California they had. That you pay taxes on gas, but there's so many hybrid and electric vehicles out there now. The revenue from taxes went down because on gas.
Yeah, it's going to go back up because all those fuckers are moving to Oklahoma and Texas.
Well, yeah, but they put a tax on hybrids or they put it on zero emission vehicles. So some combustion engines qualify as zero emission vehicles, like some hybrids do, but. Any zero emission vehicles have to pay, like, I want to say it was like $300 or $600. Like you have to, your registration fees are like $300 higher on all those vehicles. So they're taxing you for trying to do the right thing and save the environment now. So I mean, they're just trying to keep their tax revenue alive. But it's going to hurt. It's hurting cities, like the police officers and the cities. Their tax revenue is going down as this technology gets better, and they're behind. They're always behind on it. The government's always behind technology, so I mean, just look how they didn't see Facebook, affecting elections. They're like, so they're behind on that. Then the next year they try to overcorrect, and then we have, you can't say anything.
You can't say shit.
Yeah,
unless it's liberal, you can say it.
Yeah. But that's like a overcorrection, and it seems like we're slowly correcting it back. With Florida and Texas and stuff like that.
And listen, I'm a diehard when it comes to this. I'm a diehard libertarian. Everybody, from people that know me know I'm right down the middle on this shit.
Yeah.
You can't censor everything conservatives say. You can't fucking do that. It's not fair, and it's just.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not fucking fair.
I consider myself as far like being a comedian. I'm not left or right or libertarian or anything. I consider myself like a referee in the middle. I'm calling bullshit on all of them.
Well, see, trust me, I get called a conservative all the time, which is far from fucking true. It's because of the jokes I fucking make. I am right down the fucking middle, and I'm more liberal than I am anything. Because I mean, it's just now you can't say shit.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is you need you need both liberals and conservatives. And one thing that Ted Kaczynski talks about in Industrial Societies in the Future, also the manifesto,
Yep.
is your people are liberal because of their power process. And this makes sense more today than it does back then. He's like, that book is crazy how accurate he is. And he's like, it's the upper middle class educated liberals that are going to be running, like, are going to be doing this cancel culture bullshit. He was right about that. But when he talks about the power process, he talks about like, if you never won anything in your life, never accomplished anything on your own, then you're more likely to be a liberal.
Yep.
But if you've accomplished things on your own, or as a team, or, had, type of struggle and stuff like that, then
You're more likely to be conservative.
you're more likely to be conservative because you know what you can accomplish on your
the
own.
fucking struggle.
Right. But you do need both sides. On that, he's pretty damn accurate with that power process. But you do need both sides, because what you get a lot of time on conservatives, I think libertarians are kind of in the middle of being liberal and conservative, to where you're not you're rational about things, but you still have empathy for people. And then the left, or the liberals, they put more emphasis on empathy than rationality. And
There's
then
no
you're
ration at all.
right. But then when you go to the right, the right Republicans, kind of, I don't know. But the more you go to the right, I would say communism is hyper rational, because they're like, they don't have problems sacrificing people for the good of the rest of the people, which, some would say that's, super rational with lack of empathy. That's kind of where China is. What they think they're doing is good for their country, but they have no empathy for their people.
None.
Yeah. So
But where I get off on all this, the communism stuff, is like, they don't like the fact that, okay, what do you call it when you have a business? Capitalism.
yeah.
They don't like capitalism at all. They think it's a fucking. They think
Yeah,
it's
right now they're kind of in a stage of just tearing down what the existing structure. That's the goal.
well, they need to quit that shit. Because listen, if you have a business, it's your fucking business.
Yeah.
You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. You're in America.
Oh yeah, but
If you don't want to bake a cake, don't bake a cake. But
Yeah.
if I was that baker they're talking about, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The guy, I would just say, like, oh, fuck,
that story-
$10,000.
So the media really screwed that story up, because
because they're fucking assholes.
yeah. Well, it's he was going to sell him a cake, but it was more like commissioning a piece of art that he didn't want to do.
And it's his right.
yeah,
It's his
but
business. Go
Yeah.
somewhere else if you don't fucking like it. That's just my standpoint on it. And the same goes the other way. If somebody doesn't want to sell a Trump supporter a
but
cake,
yeah,
then it's
but that
fine.
can go. Hans Hermann Hoppe or whatever pointed this out about libertarians too. It's like, so they use, these big corporations use the government to get ahead and pull away from these other companies.
Yep.
And our government uses subsidies and stuff like that to pick winners and losers in corporations.
Small businesses.
Yeah, we're seeing it now. Small businesses are getting shit on. The biggest corporations are making huge money. So the government's picking the winners and losers. And
they picked Walmart.
yeah, and then we're seeing, like, what if Walmart goes, well, you have to have a vaccination to shop here. Well, it's, they're a private business. It's their right to say that.
Yep.
So it can be, you can have more oppression in a libertarian society than you could in what we have now. It's possible to go to that point, because
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
but you just fucking made a good point.
yeah, it is.
Shit.
It is possible, because in the free market you're supposed to have competition, but Walmart's blown the competition out of the water.
Fucking
Somebody
kicking
gets,
ass.
and it happens all the time with price manipulation and stuff like that. Because it was, what Walmart being across the whole country, they can eat up regional businesses. You can see it right now. Their gas prices are 10, 12 cents cheaper than every gas
they
station
fucked
around
everybody.
them. And this is something that Standard Oil did. So Standard Oil, like, they're nationwide. If there's a city a local oil refinery or gas station or something like that, they want to put out of business, they go and they're, 20, 30 cents cheaper per gallon than them in that area. And then they just mark up their prices maybe a penny or two to make up for that in all their other businesses.
And the way Walmart does it is, because you know where I work. I'm not going to say it out loud, but the way they do it is that they tell certain companies, like, this is what we're going to pay. We're not going to pay a penny more, and if you don't like it, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's what they pretty
Somebody
much do.
Will do it, yeah.
So you don't have a fucking choice. You got to be in Walmart. And if you didn't notice over the past year, over COVID, there was a lot of businesses that fucking struggled, like Reebok.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Nike.
Well, they also have programs that actually help manufacturers move to China.
Yeah, and like even Venom, Nike, Reebok, Adidas, they have their shit in Walmart now.
Yeah.
Because those fucking companies were struggling from COVID, and they knew that they could get ahead if they just fucking, all right, we'll send our shit to you.
Right.
Here, you got our bottom dollar shit. And sell it, please.
We got off track a little bit.
Yeah, we did. Sorry.
But okay, let's bring it back to the police a little bit. All right. So, we've talked a little about how the Baltimore Eye in the Sky program was the camera where they can, it's basically a giant DVR where they can see everything within a 25 square mile radius and run it back. Problem is they can't use that to prosecute people, but they can use it to find them. And I don't think there's any cities currently using that now. But if things get bad enough, they're going to vote. People will vote to allow that, just like the NSA does now with all the, with the using, cell phone data and everything like that, IP address, all that stuff. But one thing, let's see.
Oklahoma, you're safe.
Let's go to.
Your guys aren't voting for that.
Let's go. But basically, what I want to get at is, let's see. Here it is. Cops are horrible at their job. Okay, not them personally, but the job we ask them to do is impossible. And let's see, what is this? Yeah,
it is impossible.
Federal government data from 2018 shows that 46% of all violent crimes reported to the police were cleared. Wait, what did I say? Blah, 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 blah. That didn't make sense.
Oh, that's fine. We're still learning this shit. That's why it's called.
46% were cleared. So, I mean, violent crimes get solved about 46% of the time.
Jesus Christ. That's not good odds.
And 18% of property theft or property crimes. So any like vandalism or theft only gets solved about 18% of the time.
Let me tell you, my wallet was stolen at Come and Go.
Oh, I had a motorcycle stolen
a year ago.
Yeah,
they got the guy looking at the fucking camera.
Oh yeah, the cameras,
and they still haven't caught him.
Yeah, because they. I mean, we'll have. Some cities have facial recognition to where they'll find them, and then not even just facial recognition. Now they can measure the height and check the length of your legs and your gait and match people up that way.
Wow.
So. The technology's there. Dope. It's just we don't have it in mass scale yet. So technology will, can catch these thieves. But now, so I had a motorcycle stolen here, and when the police officer showed up to do the report, I was like, "So are we gonna go knock on houses, knock on doors, try to find neighbors with cameras?" And he's like, "A detective will call you in like a day or two." And I was like,
nothing.
He was like, "Yeah, you better go do all that on your own if you want this found." And I was like, "Well, all right." And the first thing the cops asked were like, "Well, do you have insurance on it?" And I'm like, "No,
Fuck.
It wasn't even mine. It was." And
they're not gonna go look for that shit.
Yeah, and it's been 3 or 4 years now, and nothing. Not even. And the thing is, I solved it. I figured out who did it. The guy had. I told the detective, and he was like, "I went and interviewed him. I don't think he did it." And the next week, he gets arrested for something else, and they're like, "Oh, well, we got him." And
it's a good thing you're a choke dealer.
I know, but the cops, yeah, but the cops as long as they get him on something, they don't care. He can commit 30 crimes, and they only need one to stick, and he's off the streets, and that's a win for them. But he just victimized 30 people and got away with it, and just got caught for one. So and it's it's a bad deal. Like, they consider it a win, but it's not really a win. So and this isn't even, I think there's another stat that says like only like 40 to 50% of violent crimes even get reported. So, I mean, that 46% of violent crimes being cleared is
not very good.
Is kind of a skewed number that way. So, they're not doing a good job. Of course, cameras and everything will help. But then we need to change the drug laws.
Yes,
that way,
I'm glad you brought that up.
That way, cops aren't doing this shit. For one, they're looking for drugs for adult people, for what adult people put in their body. They're knocking down doors in the middle of the night, shooting innocent people.
Yep.
Over drug laws, over what somebody puts in their body, which is ridiculous.
Now, listen, if you're a cop and you're watching this and you're listening to it, this isn't an attack on you, okay? This is
about
saying
his safety as well as
yes,
the public's. It's not like we're asking you to do something really. So if you look at the way a SWAT team goes into a house, is
for weed.
Is siege warfare. Yeah, it's siege warfare. If there was any type of resistance, of planned resistance to a cop, the SWAT team would be screwed. There's no that like in siege warfare, the way they go into a building. If there was any type, like they could not go into a cartel like that.
They go in loaded.
Yeah, if you go to Mexico and try a cartel, they got the whole neighborhood. So you're not going to have one entry point or 2 or 3 entry points and be safe. That is extremely dangerous. The only thing is they're using overwhelming force on 1 or 2 people
for mushrooms.
Yeah,
guys.
But yeah, it does no good. I mean, they're back out on the street doing it again in a couple days.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
Yeah, they're back out on the street in no time, and
if you're pulling over somebody for weed right now, come on.
Yeah, I mean, but then I wanted to talk to you about this too, because me and you had a thing about this on it's all right on the internet one time too. Is so when a police officer pulls you over for violating a traffic law. If you've had any type of sales or marketing training, you'll recognize what that police officer is doing. He's trying to upsell that traffic ticket and turn it into something bigger than a traffic ticket.
He does.
He's immediately looking for something to get to. There's not finding drugs on the person. It'd be one thing if he's currently on drugs and driving the vehicle and not being safe. But searching the vehicle for drugs and stuff like that, that's basically upselling a traffic ticket into a drug violation.
Well, look what I found, a roach.
Yeah. So he is trying to generate more tax dollars and improve his status as a police officer.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. If you've had any type of sales training, somebody will come in for an oil change and you got to sell them tires and brakes and all this stuff. That was my old job. They come in wanting one thing, and you got to sell them everything that they don't want or didn't know they wanted. And the police officer is encouraged to do that. And that's one thing where technology is like, the cop, if the cop could scan the phone, the license plate, VIN number, all that stuff off the car without getting out of his car, and just text them a ticket to their phone. And not have to, and just that traffic violation is all you need to do.
Yeah, you ran a stop sign.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like they start detaining people, searching. They're trying to turn a traffic ticket into something else. And yeah, it's one thing if they have a warrant for their arrest or something like that. But that's another thing. Like if you have a warrant for your arrest now, if Google could get your ass in there better than a cop could. If they start going, they'll turn off your phone, turn off your electric, turn off your water. You're going to go turn your fucking self in because your family's going to be pissed off.
Yep.
And California did this when people were having COVID parties. They were turning off their water, turning off their electric. So let
me tell you something. I didn't agree with that.
I know it's ridiculous, but technology can do it. It's there. And that's the thing is the less police want to do their job, and we have nobody signing up for it. These things are probably coming. They do this stuff in other countries, and we're the conservatives are just slowing this stuff down. They're not actually preventing any of it.
Well, that's because they want to fight with the liberals on it.
Well, yeah.
That's the only reason.
I mean, these corporations are pushing it, and that's who pays for their campaigns.
But I mean, to be honest, they're never going to get along. They just want to fight. We have to acknowledge that.
And
they're not.
And here's the thing too. So, all right, everybody does drugs. We know. We know. Poor people. We know. Poor people, all the way up to rich people. They might be doing more expensive drugs, but they're doing drugs.
They're doing the good shit.
We've seen these politicians that are passing anti-drug laws and all this shit get caught. We've seen police officers get caught. They were letting Ronnie Coleman arrest people while he's all pumped up on steroids.
Steroids. Listen, this is a drug.
Yeah, but so. And if you watch that documentary Screwball,
I loved it. I loved it. The steroids.
So it's about A-Rod. The doctor that was giving A-Rod his steroids. So good. On that documentary, 144 Florida police officers were arrested for steroids.
Yep.
I highly doubt they were arrested or prosecuted or anything.
But why would you arrest somebody for steroids?
There was 100 because they're illegal. It's an illegal drug, just like everything else.
Yeah, but
if police officers are breaking the law for marijuana, if they arrest people for smoking marijuana, then they need to be arrested for doing steroids.
Yeah, fine, I guess.
I mean, hey, I say they should be able to do them all.
Yeah, but they should.
That's the thing is, the law is not applied equally. So, and this happens if you live. So maybe if you are a lower income family and you get arrested for drugs, you're going to get a public defender because you can't afford a lawyer. And that public defender is not going to give a shit whether you go to jail or not.
Nope.
And we've seen some judges were getting kickbacks from drug programs. So there was a judge that was getting kickbacks from a private company for sending them to rehab there.
I know one big one that was doing that in California.
Yeah.
She's a VP now.
Yeah. But yeah, so judges have been caught doing this bullshit where like a minor will get a drug charge or something like that, and he will send them to this specific place, and the judge will get kickbacks on it. So we know judges have been doing this bullshit, but if you don't have any money for your own lawyer, you get a public defender. He doesn't give a shit whether you go to jail, you just plea out or whatever. But if a rich kid gets arrested for freaking cocaine or something, he's going to have a lawyer in there. He's going to be able to pay for a good lawyer. And his dad probably goes to fucking the country club with the fucking judge or went to school with him or some bullshit like that. So he's going to be lenient on him. And it's just the law is applied unequal in the court system. You've seen this with Dinesh D'Souza writes a book about Obama he gets caught doing a campaign violation law. He donated the max amount. Well, he donated the max amount, and then he gave money to a friend to donate the max amount, and he got caught for that. Of course, they were looking into it because he was talking shit about Obama, and then, but he's like literally the only person that's ever had to go to jail for this.
and what really sucks about that is that these kids that get caught, they get a rap sheet. And then that rap sheet keeps them from getting jobs later, and then they're forced into crime.
Well, yeah,
it's fucking horse shit.
But shit, you got like Hunter Biden brags about smoking his carpet weed or Parmesan crack and shit, and nothing happens.
Nothing.
But
not a fucking.
How many people are getting arrested for crack and shit every day? Like, it's
poor people.
He writes a book about it and makes a shitload of money.
Yep.
And
it's fine because let's just be honest, he's rich and privileged.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is it's a economic thing, and it's the court system it's so unequal. If you have connections, I mean that's the whole thing. It's all about connections. You want to get into a good college, not because they're teaching out of a different textbook or there's better teachers are there. It's about connections that you're going to make, and it's about networking. So, like, there's a clear path from one college to being a president, or from Ivy colleges, to presidents. Like, it's the same thing. It's all about networking. And
then you got the kids that are like, they're poor, they work hard in school, they're super smart, they want to go to Harvard, they fucking can't afford it. There's not a scholarship to those schools.
No, but I mean, It happens, but they regulate it. So I mean, it happens just to. And those kids aren't necessarily going to get into the clubs or the secret societies or whatever that because inside of those colleges are other networks. So it depends on what department. That's why they made that movie,
The Skulls. Remember that?
Yeah, and then but so I mean, there's corruption.
All the way around.
There's corruption everywhere. So this one.
The only problem is we need people to acknowledge that.
So
and they don't want to if it doesn't fit the agenda.
I was watching this one. Let's see. Ah, shit. Oh, never mind. I'm clicking on the wrong ones here. But yeah, in Baltimore. So there was this group of cops in Baltimore that were just shaking people down, and like they'd go in and do a drug bust, and they would they would pocket like half the cash out of a drug dealer's house. And then they would come back with their chest cams on and then act like they found it for the first time.
And let me tell you something. That's why I'm not a cop.
Yeah.
I would steal all that money.
Yeah, but they were doing it to people that didn't even break the law too. There was a guy that was like had $11,000 to go buy a car or something in the trunk of his car, and he gets pulled over for a traffic violation, and they just take his money and leave.
Fuck.
I'd
be so mad.
But so apparently the internal affairs was only. Convicting like 2% of the complaints on police officers that were legit.
That's it?
Yeah, and then let me see. There's God damn it! Did I click off? There's one. They did a review of like cops. God damn it! I can't find the one that I was looking for.
I think there was a video of a cop in Baltimore that was running down a suspect, and he had his camera on, and he thought he turned the camera off.
Oh, well, there was one in Arkansas about the dude putting drugs on people. There was one in Arkansas about a state trooper putting drugs on people.
Yeah, that's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but there was, but they interviewed police officers, and I think it said like 84% of them have seen their partner use excessive force and then didn't say anything about it. It was like 84% of them.
That's guaranteed they were scared of what was going to be done to them.
Oh, yeah. Of course, and I mean it's
that happens in every job.
Oh yeah, it's there's bureaucracy in the police.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
And you got to kind of understand that a little bit because you know that happens in the police force.
It happens in every job.
Every job.
Every job
happens in mine.
You're being good at your job does not get you places anymore.
No.
So, like, if a police officer does the right thing. And he's not, he pulls somebody over, gives them a ticket. He's not, using excessive force. He's not looking for other crimes and doing that. His numbers aren't going to be that good.
Nope.
But the guy who's planting drugs and doing all kinds of bullshit, his numbers are going to be great.
He's the hero.
He's going to get promoted, you know, and he's going to get, positive reinforcement. And we've got these perverse incentives in every job. So you're incentivized to do these negative things as a police officer, but the cop doing it the right way,
no incentive.
He's going to be super average, and he's not going to be getting promoted. He's not going to be.
Nope.
I mean, it's if you are good at your job, you're just basically just going to be average because there's always going to be somebody skirting. And I've ran into this in my job where, in my old job when I was service advisor. My dad was a service manager, and he raised me to do it the right way. And I've been around the shops since I'm like 7, 8 years old. I've been going to work with my dad, and he made sure we made the customer feel reassured that you did the right job and you did it fair, and that way you build a customer base and they trust you and they come back. But then this marketing scheme comes in, and they want you to upsell everything and get as much money as you can all at once, and then who cares if that customer's satisfied? Who cares if they ever come back again?
Yeah,
and and I've seen people work this way. So these surveys that they do at jobs now, you go to Taco Bell, the cashier is begging you to do a survey when you leave.
Every time
on the receipt. Yeah, you go anywhere, and those surveys is a marketing company that convinced Taco Bell that they can make it better, but all they're really doing is controlling people. They're controlling the employees, and they're making them do bullshit stuff. So I worked with a guy that he did about half as much work as I did, but he would spend twice as much time talking to the customers and making them feel good about themselves and chatting them up. And it didn't really matter whether he did a good job or not. They liked him when he left. But meanwhile, I'm getting twice as much paperwork done, getting twice as many cars out the door. But I would fall into that average middle spot as far as the numbers go. I'm smoking that dude as far as that goes. But on these surveys, he's killing me.
Yeah, because he's
kissing everybody's ass, and and that's what the managers were focused on. We're like, oh, these surveys, because
killing it.
Because the company incentivizes. There's big bonuses tied to these surveys.
They need to cut those out.
Yeah, there's big bonuses tied to those surveys, and the managers, those go straight to the managers or the owners. So that's what they are incentivized to look for, not somebody doing the good job.
Yeah. And
then on the other side of it, there was a guy who was ripping off mechanics, ripping off customers. He was fudging the numbers a little bit here and there, just basically embezzling, just skimming here and there. And he was the top salesman because he's doing that shit. And then you go into a manager's meeting, like, you need to be like that guy. And I'm like, he's fucking everybody. Yeah. And you don't. And it's the thing is,
he sold them a lemon.
Managers now, because of the college system, you get a job as you get a degree, then you get a management job, and you're managing people to do jobs that you never did. You don't know how to do any of the people under you's job. So these people under you can embezzle money from you all day long, and you don't know what the fuck they're doing because you've never done that job. And it's like that in almost every system now. In almost every business I've ever worked at, unless the owner worked his way up or the management worked his way up and knows how to do every job under him, you don't sneak anything past those guys because they know what the fuck's going on. But those managers that come out of college and never did any of the jobs under them, they're freaking blind to everything.
They don't know shit.
No. And it's like, I've worked for guys that have never done the job before, but they know the owner, and it's like, or it's owner's friend.
Congratulations.
Job. And it's, like you don't get anywhere by hard work and getting, being good at your job anymore. It's the guys that are screwing people over and looking really good, or, not doing very good work.
I have a degree.
Kissing ass will get you a long ways.
I've said this 100 times, and I'm going to say it a bunch. I've said it to my kids. I've said it to everybody I know. You're not going to make any money unless you're making somebody money.
That, and one thing that sometimes if you have hard work, the personality aspect kind of goes sideways, which I'm like, I have that, which I think I get it from my mom, but I've just been work hard, but people that make the most money are usually have like great personalities. And when I say great personalities, they're real outgoing. Sometimes they're exhausting.
Yep. I'm exhausting.
Yeah, a lot of good car salesmen and stuff like that I know, they make a ton of fucking money, but they're exhausting and they're super upbeat and everything. But you're almost like, you say yes to them just so they'll quit talking. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's like me. That's what I've been told that I work. They do when they do those the yearly interviews. They call the customers. I always get A pluses.
Yeah,
and it's because I talk. I'm personable. I get along with everybody. I usually just go along with whatever they think. Yeah. Like if they're a liberal, I'm a liberal all of a sudden. If I'm a conservative, I'm a conservative.
And I try to put that on my kids too when they're being like confrontational, even with each other and stuff. It's like, look, your personality is going to get you further, because nobody told me this before, and it's like, look, your personality is going to get you way further than hard work. And I mean, yes, you need to work hard, yes, but you can't just work hard and keep your head down anymore. You have to be personable too, and I mean, that doesn't always work, because I refuse to kiss ass, especially to people that, it's different when you work for somebody that deserves to be your boss. But if you work for somebody that doesn't deserve to be your boss, it is really hard to kiss their ass and look up to someone. But if it's somebody that you can learn something from, I love that.
I guess it kind of depends on where you work.
Yeah.
Because where I work, I get this question 1,000 times a day. How do I be less white?
See, the funny thing about those is they don't they don't run those at other countries.
God.
But
Shut up.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh yeah, we got off topic.
Yeah, we got off topic again.
Well, that's fine.
It happens. So let's see. I'm trying to think of. Let's see. We've done cops on steroids. The law is unapplied equally. Let's see. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Let's see. What have we not talked about?
One thing that
have we talked about how they have to buy their own shit?
The police officers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
that's fucked up.
Okay, that's one thing we haven't talked about. Well, it is, but we've also got them. There was that dude on Rogan that was talking about cops having night vision and shit like that. It's like, and they don't even know, they buy these things and don't even know how to use them. And that's the thing. Like, they have to pay some military person to come in and actually teach them how to use this military equipment that they have. And the only reason they need those is to enforce drug laws,
which we don't need.
So no. So here's one thing that I think of. So these drug laws are ridiculous. If you look at countries like Portugal and stuff like that, they haven't made them completely legal, but they decriminalize them. So if you have a heroin problem, you can go to a community center. They'll give you a fresh needle,
and they shoot you up.
And you can do heroin there. And you can't take the heroin out of the building. You can do it there, so you're not a danger to public.
Don't
you're not leaving needles.
They monitor you.
Yeah, they have nurses and stuff like that on staff. Yeah. And they have the same thing. They have, like, prostitution. They have spots designated to where prostitutes can go and do their job.
And by the way, in America, it's only legal if you have a camera.
Well, now, yeah, as I say, it's legal if you have a camera. And all this stuff. Anytime you make something illegal, you create a black market. So you're not stopping it at all. That is the drug war. Prostitution, everything. And the same thing with abortion. If you make abortion illegal, then there's going to be a black market pop up, and it's going to be less safe, and
it might kill people.
Yeah, it might kill. It might kill a lot of people. That are getting, just like there's been all these girls going to black market plastic surgery and getting cancer and shit from the stuff that they're stuffing in their ass.
Well, fuck those guys in Poto. The ones that were. You didn't hear about this one? They were doing transgender surgeries.
Oh, God.
In the woods. They were cutting off dicks.
I did not know that was in Poto.
Oh, my God, it was in Poto. It was so awesome.
I've heard stories like that.
They were cutting people. They were, like, doing transgender surgeries in Poto. Like, if you want this surgery, we'll just cut your dick off real quick. And then,
they don't even do that. They turn it inside out in the real one, I think.
They got caught because one guy got infected, and they had to take him to the hospital.
Oh, shit.
And it actually made the Your Mom's House podcast.
I didn't realize that was in Poto. I heard them talk about it.
Poto.
Oh, no shit. I did not know that was there.
Yeah, it was fucking insane.
Yeah, but it definitely, like, you just got to understand that there's, like I said, everybody does drugs. All this, like, you're not stopping it. You're creating a black market, and that black market's not getting taxed. Now, one thing that you could say is conspiracy theorists is the government wants that because they can the CIA uses that off-book money that they confiscate from these guys.
Yeah.
And just like the Mena, Arkansas shit, they can use that to fund gun running between two countries that they want to, overthrow a dictator. They can use that and be like, oh, we weren't involved in that at all. They can hide the fact that they were involved in it by using drug money. That's why the freeway Rick Ross.
Let's just talk about it. America's always been involved in drugs.
Oh yeah, well
that's how we funded a lot of shit.
Okay, so the free Hong Kong stuff like that. That is, most of these Ivy League schools have ties to the opium wars. A lot of them got the Russell's family and all of them got their money from the opium wars in Hong Kong, and where they were. So China was getting. Let's see. England was getting tea from China. They loved that black tea that China had, but they weren't wanting to send them gold to pay for this tea. They were wanting to trade opium that they had from their India colony to China, which China made the opium illegal. So they did a black market where they were smuggling smuggling in opium to trade for tea. And then that's kind of how the opium wars kick off. So, and then that's how we end up, England ends up with Hong Kong as an island over all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But
there was something else I was wanting to talk about.
But those families got all that money and started Ivy League schools.
Now, there was something that I was wanting to talk about, how they say the defund the police.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think they worded that really wrong.
Well, the thing is, they're not on the same side. There's people, so even friends of mine, they were like, they don't mean defund the police.
Well, then why did you say that shit?
Well, no, but then they come back and like, oh no, we do mean defund the police.
Yeah, they're fucking crazy. Do you really mean
I can't
that?
wait till they make the first like end of watch corrupt cop movie about social workers.
There's
just social workers just coming in and fucking.
Yeah, my ex-wife's a social worker.
Oh yeah,
yeah. She works for DHS.
Yeah.
in Oklahoma. And when I told her, I was like, "Why did they word it that fucking way?" Because she's like a super left-wing liberal. That's why we didn't get along, mainly. And she said, "Well, what they really mean?" I was like, "Well, why did you say defund the police? Word it differently." She's like, "They were like, well, when somebody's got like multiple personalities or some mental issue, we send out a social worker." And I go, "Well, what happens if you go out there and that dude's got a gun?"
Well, yeah, they've tried that, and that's exactly how it went. Social workers got shot.
Shot.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you know this or not, but social workers are pieces of shit too. Have you watched? There's a Netflix documentary that's
the Rodriguez one.
Gabriel. Yeah,
Yep.
Gabriel. Yeah, they prosecuted a bunch of social workers because
they were a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, because they let this little kid get murdered.
Now, that's not all social workers.
No,
This
but
is
the thing is, they're overwhelmed. I mean, that is something. The cops that were sent to that place were probably overworked, and they didn't do their job correctly. And social workers were overworked, so they didn't do their jobs correctly. But you're asking everybody to do too much. And that's the thing is like, if you decriminalize drugs and cops can focus on other stuff that's more important, like violent crimes, and they can actually follow up on some of these, child abuse cases and stuff like that, instead of being completely overworked, chasing people for drugs all the time. It's
yeah, you got to take some off their plate, man.
Yeah, and you saw, when Jocko was on JRE, he was talking about they need to be doing more training. If you free them up from doing drug bust and stuff like that all the time, yeah, they can do some more training. And they don't do a whole lot of training as far as like de-escalating situations and stuff like that. And another thing is like when I don't think with all this attacks on the Second Amendment and stuff like this, one thing is I don't think police officers need guns that the general public doesn't have. So if you take ARs away from the general public, you take them away from the cops too. It needs to be like England. If you're going to de-arm the population, the cops need to be de-armed to some too.
They walk around with clubs.
Yeah. But the thing, like, as we get...
But just de-arming the citizens, they're not de-armed.
Well, no.
There's black market guns. They get them anywhere they want.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
It's not hard. It's not hard to get guns. They've talked about this several times at the cartel. They just come over and go to gun shows.
Well, there was that big scandal, and I think it was L.A. too. The cops got caught selling them to the cartel.
That's because they don't get paid shit.
They'll confiscate them from people and then sell them to the cartels.
They don't get paid anything.
No, I mean, you got to pay them enough to not be incentivized to take the bait on some of these. But the thing is, if you legalize drugs, the corporations are going to be making money off them, and then the government's going to be making money because they're taxing them.
Yep.
You're not going to have this under. But the thing is, like in California, when they legalized marijuana, they started over-regulating it, and then the black market popped up under again.
Yep.
So they got the prices of the marijuana so high that a black market popped up under them.
Well, if the government can't get their greedy little hands in on it, then that's the problem. The problem's the government.
I think the one of the big problems with marijuana is like if it's not that hard to produce. So like if they ever do home grow laws where you can have a plant at your house, corporations probably won't make that much money off of it.
Well, they need to do that then.
I know, but
it's simple.
Yeah, it's all about incentives and the government put way too much taxes and regulations and paperwork involved on marijuana in California, to where that black market popped up, and there's still people dying on, like that Murder Mountain documentary. And
that was
like
great.
That
was great.
Yeah, it's that's been a long going thing. But one thing, like, in they, people always say, like, what about harder drugs and stuff like that? And
so what?
Yes, it's so what, as long as you're doing them responsibly and everything. But one thing, and we could help relations, like, we wouldn't have people flooding over the border from Mexico if it wasn't for these cartels and all this violent crime that are related to us using drugs. It's not Mexicans using drugs.
Yep.
It's Americans using drugs.
We're paying them.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we're also, like, when they say, like, build the wall,
yeah.
I mean, you hear this a lot, and you hear it from the conservative side.
Just legalizing drugs would knock the need for a wall out.
But when they say build the wall, build the wall, build the wall, the higher that wall gets, the more the cartel asks for from those people to get them across the border, and those people pay it.
Yeah, I mean, but we wouldn't even need a wall if we would decriminalize drugs.
Nope.
And one thing that you could do for the cartels to keep it, so a lot of cartels, I told this to somebody the other day and they thought it was a joke. So the price of avocados has gotten so high that they are taking over avocado farms and switching from marijuana to avocados. I don't know if they've made the switch from cocaine to avocados, but they're taking over people's avocado farms down there.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
That's a cartel.
Because Americans have to have avocado toast. And so, like, that is a legit real thing. Like, if you look into it, that really happened. And but one thing, like, if we decriminalize
drugs,
like,
just say we decriminalize like Portland, like Oregon did.
Right. So, I mean, and we know the government's protecting opium fields in the Middle East.
We are.
Yeah. So
Geraldo did a whole thing on it.
Yeah, and it's usually, and that is, our taxpayers are paying our military to protect those 4 pharmaceutical companies to use opium for OxyContin and shit like that. Yeah. But one thing that I would do if I was going to decriminalize drugs in the United States is I would go to these cartels and be like, look, and cartels and the Mexican government and be like, look, we're going to give you exclusive rights to produce cocaine in your country for 10 years. Them. So you have the patent on cocaine for 10 years.
Yeah.
And we'll stick to marijuana.
You're going to make a fuckload of money.
Yeah.
We're going to make a fuckload of money.
Because it's the only way you get people to change is incentives.
Yeah.
You don't
make them a corporation.
Yeah.
Illegal.
You don't punish. You can't get people to change by punishing and taking stuff away. It's just you have to use positive incentives.
Freedom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's all about incentives.
Sorry, conservatives. But that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I feel like
what did we not touch on?
I don't know. I feel like we're missing something, but
that's because we got off subject a couple times.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean, as these cars are getting better and cameras are getting better, the cops are not going to need to do as much. So we'll need less of them on the streets. We'll probably always need SWAT teams to go in there and handle the dirty work. But
what dirty work? What do we consider dirty work? To me, that's pedophiles, murders, like rapers, the rape guys.
It's almost exclusively sex-related crimes, really.
Pretty much.
But yeah, if you take away,
because that's the only one that you can do without consent.
Right. And that's one thing when they're worried about, if you legalize prostitution, how like it could help human trafficking. But it almost, I don't know. I mean, the human trafficking is almost tied to the drug. I mean, anybody that's doing
kids.
All right, yeah, and our government's involved in this. They get caught for
fucking
all the
assholes.
They're getting caught for the sex trafficking and all that as much as anybody. So. Or at least being tied to them. I don't know.
That's pretty sad that we actually come to the conclusion that all crimes are sex related. Most other crimes are not. They're not, because you're doing them to yourself. They're not harming anybody else.
Right.
But sex crimes are.
Yeah, I mean theft, but most theft is tied to drugs. And
if you legalize drugs, you don't have those thefts.
Yeah, that's the thing is, homeless people wouldn't. I mean, if they have to go into a store and pay taxes on it to get drugs instead of go to a damn, drug house or trailer park or some shit to score drugs, it might actually help. And it has a effect too of like looking down on people too. It kind of balances things out a little bit too, because I mean, everybody looks down on those people for doing drugs, but it's usually people that are doing drugs. They're just doing a little more responsibly. Yeah, I worked.
And that's because they were taught correctly.
Yeah,
most of those guys that do drugs that are like fucked up, they had parents that were also fucked up.
Well, and there's the thing too is like if a doctor prescribes you prescription pills, which that's
his fault.
Well, yeah, they're tightening that up because they're getting caught. But there was definitely pill mills where doctors didn't give a shit, and
because they were incentivized by the drug companies, and they know they were.
That's upselling too. They don't give a shit. They send a salesman in there, a sales rep to get in there, and he doesn't give a shit. He's getting praised for overprescribing. For helping these doctors overprescribe.
It's like they even had a movie about Viagra and how it's supposed to be for your heart.
Oh yeah,
turn into a dick pill,
dude. That there's one called The Pharmacist on Netflix, and it takes a.
Is that the one where the kid dies?
The pharmacist's son dies scoring drugs, and then it takes a big turn with that. Starts following that doctor that was running a pill mill.
That was so good.
Oh man, that one is really good.
If y'all need to find that one.
Yeah, I think it's called The Pharmacist.
It was the Pharmacist because he discovered he goes all the way down the line and finds it's fucking wild.
Yeah, and then they have the sales rep on there that was selling that doctor drugs that was like, and she was like prescribing 3 drugs. I don't even remember what they was. It was like Oxycontin something else, and it was like a trifecta.
To be fair, she was just making money.
Yeah, she was. I mean, she's clearly killing people. I mean,
she was killing people, but it was those people's decision to do that shit.
It is, but that's an uneducated. Problem is, it's stupid. It's stupid people go, oh, the doctor gave it to me, it's okay, and then when it gets taken away from them, they start doing heroin.
Yes, uneducated people think that way.
Yeah, it's.
This feels good,
and it's not really. I mean. I don't know if uneducated is the right way. It's just like if you grow up around that stuff and it's you don't know better. You don't know any better. And that's one thing is like I still feel that way about almost everything is like we've screwed up the education system so bad. That if and I do a joke about it, and they do this in Italy. So in Italy, I believe their sex educational program, the book they use is like Sex is Fun, is the title of it. It's something like that.
It is fun.
Yeah. And so they don't lie to kids. They don't tell them their dick's going to fall off from chlamydia or something like that.
They tell them the truth.
Yeah. They tell
Sex feels good.
Yeah. And I mean, that's probably one reason they have a lower age of consent there. I think it's only like 16. But they educate these people to be responsible. They have a lower...
That's what they should be doing here.
They have a lower teen pregnancy rate than us because they actually educate kids and not scare them. They go, hey, look, this is fun, but you got to be responsible with it.
You want to know what our education teacher did? She showed us the movie Kids.
I don't even know what that is.
Fuck. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that watch this that know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
She literally played the movie Kids for us. It starts off with a kid. He's like 15 years old, and he's talking to a girl, and he's going, come on, baby, it's going to feel good. and she's going, I don't know. And he goes, come on. She goes, do you have a condom? And then he goes, no, but it'll feel good.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, you find out through the whole movie, this chick is trying to find this dude because she tested positive for HIV.
Oh, God.
And the whole movie, he's fucked 15 girls.
Oh, shit.
And, like, all these guys have fucked these girls. And you find out the whole movie, like, this one kid spread HIV to like hundreds of kids, and we watched that movie in fear.
Yeah.
Like I thought, like when I started off jerking off, I thought that my own cum gave me AIDS.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing too.
Shit.
That's the thing too is if they were like, hey, teach kids what each drug does, what the side effects are, what the negative side effects are, like what you have to watch out for. If they were honest with them about those, and they knew what the fuck they were doing, and they would approach them a lot differently than
Yes.
and it would probably make a lot of them not want to do it. I mean, it's because it's the act of rebellion that entices a lot of these kids into these things.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, it's people telling you not to. You're like, wait, what's going on
here?
here?
It's always going to be that way.
Yeah, so it's same thing with like they want to like everybody wants free healthcare and stuff like that, and it was like, hey, how about we ease into free healthcare by educating kids about calories and working out and how. That like they did that study too, like when all the fast food places started putting the calories on the calorie count on the menu,
Mm-hmm.
where they're like this burger's 800 calories, this this one's 1200, these fries are this much, so it didn't deter people at all because they don't know what the fuck those calories mean. But if you tell these people like, hey, you have to run this many miles to burn off this amount of calories, then people are like, oh fuck, I'm eating a lot.
I don't want to eat that.
Yeah. And so it's if you educate people, then get them a little bit healthier, teach them, because there's countries that teach kids about how to eat. And like I think in France, they have a really good program about like the kids work with the cafeteria workers to serve the other grade and then they switch. So, and like they teach them and they're more, less processed food and more like homemade food doing it that way too. And, it's teaching kids about eating healthy and
drinking water.
Yeah, and then teaching kids. Now we're like not fat shaming people, which I mean I don't want anybody to feel bad about themselves, but helping people, not telling them it's okay because to be unhealthy, and that's killing. We can never have a good healthcare system if we have this many unhealthy people.
Yes.
We've got to educate people to be healthy.
Listen, I'm in the percentage of people that it works to shame.
Yeah.
Like if you shame me for being fat, I look at that and go, fuck, I got to get to the gym.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people are so sensitive that they can't handle that kind of criticism. They just eat more.
Well, yeah, but the problem is they don't know how to approach to fix the problem. It takes a long time to fix it. And they don't really. And then there's a ton of marketing and shit like that that goes in.
McDonald's. It's cheaper than eating healthy.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the workout marketing and stuff like that, there's all kinds of schemes and stuff like that people are. I mean, you're constantly overwhelmed with diets and stuff like that, and they don't know the basics to eating healthy.
And they're like the basics are like.
I'm saying this as I'm fat as shit right now.
But but you know how to fix it.
Yeah.
You know how to fix it. I'm
falling apart. It's my problem.
And I'm fixing it. Yeah. But a lot of the times they say they can't afford it. They can't afford a gym. But they do buy a pack of cigarettes a day. Or they buy that can of Skull a day. Or they eat fast food every day.
Yeah.
And that adds up. When I figured it up one time, I was like, you eat fast food every day. That's at least, just say, $7 a meal.
But if they were able to... If they understood the science and everything in nutrition, like if we took nutrition classes in high school,
bingo.
Yeah, then they would know that 3,500 calories is 1 pound, and you burn 2,200 to 2,400 calories in a day, depending on if you're a male or female.
If you don't move, you don't burn any, though.
Well, no, you burn 2,000 calories a day, whether you do nothing. If you sit on the couch all day long, you're gonna burn 2,000 calories.
Fuck, I'm not eating enough.
Yeah, so.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, If
I didn't know you just burn 2,000 just breathing.
Yeah, just being alive is you're gonna burn around 2,000 calories a day.
I am dumb.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you don't, you'll starve to death. And then 3,500 calories is equal to like 1 pound. So if you overeat, 400 calories a day, when you get to 3,500 calories, you're probably gaining about a pound.
We're gonna gain weight.
Yeah, but
fuck, I just learned something, guys.
Yeah, but they don't teach us stuff. And then like when you're walk a mile, you burn about 80 calories. When you run a mile, you're probably around 120, 130, somewhere like that. So you burned off a can of Coke.
So I need to go to Sonic.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've burned about a can of Coke if you've run 1 mile. So if
also what a lot of people don't realize is when you look at a can of Coke, it's like 26 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
Put 26 grams in a little measuring cup and see how much sugar that is.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I first did that. I went, Jesus.
I think most of them are higher than that. They're like 35 to 65.
Yeah, it's so much. Like Monster.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, but if they if we did a better job of educating people about sex, about food, we could start doing these programs that these liberals are wanting to do.
And we could do free health care.
Yeah,
we can't afford it right now because we've got too many fat people.
Now, here's another thing and this is when I talk about being hyper rational. We heard, I think it was Bloomberg. Wasn't Bloomberg that was running for president for a little bit? Bought like the billionaire dude.
Yeah.
But he had this conversation on TV with somebody, and this is what I'm talking about. When you got to be careful being hyper rational, like the Chinese. If you go to China, the comedian Kurt Metzger went there, and he was like, "Dude, there's no handicapped people." He's like, "I don't know what they're doing with them, but they're not out in public."
They kill them.
He's like, "Yeah, he's like, there's no handicapped people, no disabled people.
They're
like,
done.
They're not out on the street." He said it's strange. Like but when you get hyper rational, you end up running into these dilemmas like this. And Bloomberg talked about this. So our medical program now, I think you will spend, I believe the number was 80% that you'll spend on medical expenses in your life come in the last 2 years of your life.
Yeah.
So, and the argument that he's making is it doesn't make your life any better the last 2 years.
Nope.
So we have technology that is keeping people alive longer, but their quality of life isn't improving. We're just, keeping them alive is all we're doing. And one thing that we can that we're learning with like the MAPS program and stuff like that, and what we have decriminalized and allowed for research is some of these drugs like psychedelics like LSD, mushrooms, and stuff like that are helping these old people cope with the fact that they're going to die soon. But when you get into the hyper rational, it'll be like, hey, do we want to do heart surgery on an 84-year-old person and keep them alive for one more year?
No.
And spend $100,000 on this one surgery,
or give them mushrooms,
or give them mushrooms and be like, hey, yeah, life.
Have awesome.
Let's
time.
See what's next.
Have an awesome time.
Yeah, I think when you turn 75, you should get a free prescription for heroin.
Yeah, something. Yeah, for something fun.
Yeah,
you're alive for another year. Have fun.
But yeah, so if you. I mean, that's a weird thing. Like, maybe we don't government subsidize really expensive surgeries on these old people late in life, and that would it sounds like a freaking horrible thing to say, but maybe we can have free healthcare for the rest of the world if we
it's
don't.
Not a
do
horrible
this.
thing to say. It's not. Some people might hear it that way, but it's not a horrible thing to say.
Yeah.
If you let Grandpa or me, when I get there, I want to have fun.
Yeah, maybe
Feed
you have
me mushrooms.
Maybe you have a separate insurance for almost like a retirement plan. Like when you get a certain age, it goes to off of free healthcare, free government paid healthcare to a private healthcare program that you have late in life. But to do hundreds of $1,000 surgeries on 80-year-old people,
I won't do it.
So they can sit in a chair and watch TV for another year,
and then the
be
insurance
miserable.
Companies come after your kids because you.
Yeah,
and that's some shit.
But they're also, I mean, I think California has some euthanasia laws now to where they can opt to assisted suicide and stuff like that.
Like Canada.
Yeah, I think Canada does too. They have some assisted suicide laws.
Assisted suicide.
Yeah, I mean, shit, give them a prescription for heroin when it's turns.
Yeah, let's let
them
roller coaster
go out with a bang. But yeah, you can. That's one thing. That's what I want to do on this podcast is everybody fights on the left and the right. Both sides think they're doing the right thing morally. You got to kind of show people hey, this is why they think this way. This is why they think this way. We can't afford a healthcare program, but we can't let people just die all the time either. So
no.
And you shouldn't. So
But we should let them die.
Yeah.
Because they're going to anyways.
I had an argument. So I had a friend. He had a lawn care business. Had an accident and had to go to the emergency room, and it was $10,000 or $15,000. Didn't have insurance because all insurance is almost tied to working at a corporate job now.
Yep.
So if you're self-employed or something, it's really hard to get insurance or it's really expensive. And if you're young, I paid $5,000 a year for insurance for 10 years and never went to the doctor. I literally didn't go to the doctor for almost 10 years.
$100 a week.
Yeah. But I would, that's, about $500 a month. And then, literally didn't go to the doctor for 10 years. at one point.
Where'd that money go?
Yeah, other than every 4 or 5 years I'll dislocate an elbow or blow out a knee or something. But
that's Chris Rock said
then
it
you gotta
best.
have it.
That's just in case shit happens.
Yeah,
if it doesn't happen, shouldn't you get that shit back?
yeah, that's crazy that we pay that much for those things, for insurance like that. But my friend that had the lawn care business had an accident. It was like $10,000-$15,000. Well, in the state of Arkansas, that is a quarter. Like I think the average income in Arkansas is around $40,000 a year. Yep. So a quarter of that guy's income for a year has to go to paying a medical expense for one accident, which is fucking wild. I mean, and part of the reason that these healthcare prices are so damn high is there's non-competition laws where you can't build a hospital within a certain many miles of another hospital. So that's not free market. Like that's not free market at all.
Yeah, it's not.
And then you have all this shit inside of the hospital as far as overpriced shit, and
then you got the Dollar General building 2 miles apart from each other.
Yeah, we got off track again. I don't even know.
Sorry. We got off.
I know. As soon as we leave here, I'm going to think about something that I forgot to talk about with police.
Let's see. We can think about it.
But that being said, if any police are listening to this in the area, if you want to come, learn some grappling and stuff like that, I will be happy to teach you some grappling. I know Brian at Family Combat Fitness has done some specials for police officers.
Free.
Is it free now?
Free classes at Family Combat Fitness.
Yeah.
And you're learning from a black belt.
Yeah.
He's a super stud. He's a good guy. If you go down there, he'll teach you for free.
Yeah.
This is what he's done. He's offered this. He's offered it, and we don't have anybody show up. But I mean,
I've rolled when I first started in jiu-jitsu. There was a cop from Little Rock that when he was in town, he would come roll with me, and it was pretty fun. And at that time, I wasn't very good, but I was freaking strong as shit. Could manhandle that dude.
Sometimes your strength wins.
Yeah. But that's the thing. When you have a 140-pound cop trying to arrest a 260-pound dude,
not happening.
It's not going to go good if you don't know what you're doing.
That's when your submissions come in.
Yeah,
come in handy.
And that's the thing too, is it gets dangerous when you get 3 or 4 people trying to detain one person, then one skilled person.
You don't need 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
If we talk about this, then they say defund the police. This is where they relocate the money. You relocate it to their training. You teach them jiu-jitsu or wrestling or some kind of training to where they know.
Yeah, you could do a police-specific version of jiu-jitsu because the thing that makes jiu-jitsu dangerous with cops is they always have a gun on them. So I thought about this too. Is like you almost need pairs of cops with one with non-lethal equipment and one with lethal.
That sounds great.
Because if you have a skilled grappler go in there and handle a person without the threat of them getting your gun,
99% they're going to walk out.
Yeah,
99%.
Yeah, because that's the thing is you always have a gun on you, and if you get into grappling situations, you always got to be aware that that's on there that they can grab. So it almost take a little bit of a twist on jiu-jitsu to specifically, protect your gun and detain the person at the same time.
Because a skilled grappler does not leave their knee on somebody's neck for 8 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what a skilled grappler doesn't do. That.
The thing is that you'll have cops fucking learning leg locks and blowing people's knees out and then resisting arrest.
Did the cop really need to do that?
Oh, dude! I mean,
shut up.
That'd be hilarious for the freaking.
At least he didn't kill him.
You got cops hill hooking people.
It would be funny though. I would laugh. I'd be like, "Oh, he broke his ankle. He's not dead though."
Yeah, it's that's.
Don't break the law.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I don't think we will. I mean, in the future, we're not going to have a whole lot of need for hands-on police work like that.
Probably not.
And I mean, and a lot of times it's, they're thinking that. They get pulled over and they're thinking, "Oh shit, I'm going to lose my job because I'm going to get arrested for drugs or a traffic violation or old warrant or something like that." And
that's the thing is, take off.
The thing is, they're almost. Oh, I mean, I've seen people get arrested for a lot of marijuana or something, and they're out the next day, or they get a DWI and they're out the next day. So it's like, what's the point of even taking them in?
And it's so hard for like guys that just got out of jail or prison to get a job.
Yeah. They
need to loosen that up a little bit. I mean, it's so hard. It depends on what it is.
Yeah, they definitely. So, the kind of the libertarians talk about this too. Like, if you completed your full sentence, reinstate it. Yeah, reinstate your ability to vote, ability to own a firearm, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you are out on probation or something like that, or house arrest or something like that, and that's one thing that that's one thing. The prison system is so freaking expensive. It's like $50,000 a year.
It's a moneymaker.
And a lot of them are private, and they are a moneymaker. There's food industry, all kinds of uniform companies and stuff like that have incentive to keep people in prison, and they lobby to keep people in prison and keep the drug laws in place because they're making money off of it. And the one thing that I've seen too is it's like $50,000 a year to keep somebody in jail on the taxpayers.
Fuck.
Yeah. So I mean,
and we're worried about paying food stamps,
and we have the biggest prison population in the world, and in the United States. But there's also effects on the society too. That like you have these people that are in prison. And then there's people outside of the jail, like the family members and stuff, supporting them, and they're paying like ridiculous prices for their commissary and stuff like that, and phone calls and everything like that. So it's a burden on the family outside of the prison too.
It's a burden on everybody.
Yeah. So aside from not having a father, there's people trying to keep commissary and paying for telephone calls and stuff like that. It's just a huge burden on the taxpayer, and then a burden on the people outside supporting them. And, there needs to be, we have the technology now to do like maybe nonviolent drug crimes and stuff like that. We could do house arrest and stuff like that with those people and not cost the taxpayer so much freaking money.
Yeah, we're never going to stop being taxed.
Yeah, but the thing is, taxes are just filtering money to the government, and then there's people just making money all the time. I mean, I don't know if you've seen freaking Rand Paul do he sat there for like an hour with those posters and was like, we're doing doing research for mating habits with birds on cocaine. And it was like $1 million budget for that. And it's just like,
or California's homeless budget that was like, what was it, like $7 billion or something?
Yeah, see, well, there's the thing about the homeless problem is they don't even, they think one thing is going to fix it. Like it's all mental health and drug issues is what they say, or it's a housing issue where housing's too expensive for them. But the thing is there's 6 houses for every one homeless person in the United States. 6 empty houses. So it's not a housing issue. And I don't really think it's a drug issue. I think I think the problem is they just don't want to play the games of society. These people, it's almost like a damn commune.
Some of them love it.
I know, that's the thing. They love it because you don't have to go fucking to work every day do the bullshit.
You live off the land.
Yeah.
It sounds like a dream to like a country guy.
Yeah.
I get to live off the land?
It's basically they're like homesteading in a city.
Yeah.
And
for free.
Yeah, they just don't want to be a part of all the bullshit that goes along with society. I fucking get it. Like and if you've had that same the thought of just building a cabin and living out in the woods,
which I'm working on.
Yeah, that's basically their mentality. That's their version of it is, hey, I don't have to go listen to a fucking boss. I don't, if I want a fucking a meal and somewhere to sleep, I'll just go commit a crime real quick.
Yeah. They'll put me in jail, and I don't have to pay shit.
Yeah, and it's, it's just basically they're just giving up on society. It doesn't really have a whole lot to do with
which we've all done.
Yeah, I don't see a way to fix that other than maybe giving them a place. And there's one thing that our government out there in California, especially, there was a family, I believe it was after World War I, or it may have even been before that, but it's the Berry family, and I think it's with an I instead of a Y. But when this rich family, the guy died, and he donated a shitload of land to the government, but he wanted it specifically used for veterans to have a place to live.
Okay.
And I believe it happened for a little bit, and they were building these little houses and stuff like that, like tiny homes and shit, and they were living, these veterans were living in a community, but the city took the land back because it got to a point where the city built up around it, and that land got super valuable, and they took it back. And there's been some lawsuits, I think, in recent years about getting that land back.
There should be.
Using it for veterans, because it was donated to the government for that purpose, and the government just was like, it's too valuable, you can't have it. And this is one of those things where my autistic, hyper rational things come in, and my kind of aversion to religion a little bit, but we have how many fucking national cemeteries where we have dead soldiers on this land that could be used for these veterans that are fucking homeless.
Yep.
I mean, we're all going to die. Eventually, if everybody gets buried, we're going to run out of land. Yeah. So, like, it's kind of like maybe do a freaking memorial wall or something like that, but...
burn us all. We're not alive.
Yeah. Do you think those soldiers that died for their country would be happy about these homeless veterans everywhere?
Nope.
They could be like, maybe give up my plot here to let a homeless veteran live.
Yeah, you don't give a fuck. You're dead.
Yeah, it's that's where that damn your religion or your empathy or whatever and rationality, like we have so much of that land that could be used for other purposes, and like that's one of those things where like it sounds shitty to say, but you're trying to do the right thing out of it, and
it's not shitty.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but I mean, to religious people, they'd be like, "Oh, you can't. That's ridiculous."
Yeah, but that's where they need to start being rational.
Yeah, I mean, you can't bury everybody forever.
No,
we'll run out of land.
My grandpa is buried on a national cemetery.
Yeah, mine too. I've got two there.
Yeah, and if they needed to use that for other veterans, by all means.
Yeah,
but that's not up to me.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to start fixing these problems. Like, and
there is.
There's one thing that I'm worried about too is when you have this new technology, it's gonna pop up first in places where there's nothing. So, like, right now you have to bulldoze the whole city down to build a smart city now, and start doing it the correct way, and the cost of deconstruction on stuff is so expensive. And China and the UAE, they're starting to build smart cities that are run off solar power, and there's no cars allowed in Nasdar City. They have like their own little electric cars that drive around the city, and then it's built in a way where the wind comes in and there's no windows facing the sun because it's built in the fucking desert. And there's no windows facing the sun, and the streets are like 10 degrees cooler than it is outside in the desert. Damn. And they've got solar farms and all kinds of shit all over the place. And we're not doing any of that stuff in the United States because we have infrastructure here already. So when this next wave of this green technology that they're all talking about, these politicians or this imaginary technology that isn't here yet, that they're planning for, it's going to pop up somewhere else first. So like we're going to have to play catch up in the United States. It'll be a problem.
Well, we'll play catch up.
Yeah, but it's our politicians are stupid as shit though.
They're all dumb as fuck.
They do it behind.
Doesn't matter.
They'll do it behind the. But I guess I'm sure we'll fucking think of something as soon as we leave here. I know that's one thing, the civil asset forfeiture. I know some of the libertarians are going to be pissed that I didn't bring that up, but that really, like, I kind of did when
the fact that we don't own shit.
Well, no, there's cops that like it's been a real big problem. Like they'll pull somebody over. Like I said, like you'll be going to buy a car and have a handful of cash,
upsell it.
And if you can't prove that you're going to buy a car with that and that wasn't from drug purposes, the city will just seize it, and then you have to be in a damn lawsuit with the city to freaking get your damn money back.
And then you spend all that money that they took on
lawyers. And then the lawyer scheme on everything there. So.
Yeah, my sister's a lawyer.
Yeah. So she knows.
She knows.
That's the thing too. Is like when I talk about people embezzling money, I'm just like, yeah, talk to an accountant. They know how to do it. They're like,
she doesn't. She doesn't. Like she claims me, but doesn't.
Yeah.
That's why I go by Ryan Thomas. I don't go by my last name simply because she doesn't want my last name and the shit I say being associated with her. Cause
Oh, yeah.
she plans on running for the governor of Oklahoma.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, she's legit fucking smart.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that's it for policing and the future of policing. I'm sure we forgot some shit, probably pissed some people off. I do have some shows coming up. Bricktown Barbershop, June 26th. Then I have Stand Up at the Cup, Fifth Street Cafe Show, July 3rd. Then we just added July 17th, Brannon's. We're going to do a show there. And then Stand Up at the Cup in Poto is July 31st. Do you have anything to plug?
Actually, I don't have anything right now. Nothing.
You haven't got your podcast started?
Well, I've got the website done. It's the right show with
That's
RTE.
the last fucking thing you need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to be able to post my videos on my website.
Yeah.
So people could watch the whole thing. Because I like to show fucked up shit. And that's just my sense of humor. And if it's on my website, I can do that. But I'm still learning how to build that shit. And the next show at the VFW in Muldrow is not till next month.
Oh,
so,
cool.
And I plan on having the guys back that we had the last show.
Nice.
Because the last show wasn't promoted correctly. Because
it was fun.
I was banned from Facebook, and we had a fucking heckler that Sam Price took out.
Yeah. It was fun, though. All right. Well, you've been watching the Playing Your Fools podcast. We'll see you next time.